Markets Asia. I kind of wonder when Christine finds time to finance ministrate for her country. I mean, God, it was a full-time campaigning job. You know?
If you have a good bureaucracy, you have a good staff, you know. You can delegate.
Do you have a favorite? Do you care? Does the IMF? Do you think at all about the IMF?
No, of course I do think it's very important for emerging markets, but I don't have very strong. You know, I think I'd rather stay impartial at this point.
All right, let's get back to your slowflation argument.
Sure.
What do we do with that information, assuming that that word is now part of, you know, baked into the Websters? What do we do with slowflation and this whole thing?
No, okay, definitely in a backdrop where people are a little bit more worried about growth. People are now repricing growth expectation. Therefore, that is having some impact on policy. So in the last week or so, we've made some revisions. For example, Bank of Korea, we now expect they might postpone the rate hike till 3Q. Rather than, so we don't expect a rate hike this week. That has changed our policy calculus. I mean, we already saw that yesterday with Australia. I mean, the RBA policy statement was a little less hawkish than what earlier statements had been. So people are pricing in less rate hikes. And then the other central bank that seems to have changed as well is Philippines. We also changed our call in BSP. We now think they might also push back the rate hike and we'll have a longer period of pause. That has implication on the rates market. Obviously, with U.S. Treasuries rallying on the back of the weak U.S. data, that is continuing to provide support for fixed income assets. I mean, there was a time, last year, we had this conversation in the middle of last year in the double dip scenario risk. That was a great time to buy bonds. And then by the latter part of last year, when the recovery started picking up and people were very worried about overheating, you were supposed to shift into equities, right? So that was sort of rotation of assets. And now we're kind of swinging back to slowflation. So there's been sort of this slow going back into bonds, long end bonds. People are receiving rates again. But I think it's important to stress that because you still have that inflation argument, the stickiness of the core inflation, central banks can't be that complacent. And because rate hike is obviously, there's political hurdles now, greater hurdles to hiking very aggressively. Again, the currency story still plays a role in terms of being used as a tool for disinflation, which some central banks can balance. So a little bit of currency appreciation, but I guess there could be some central banks, there could be some delay on the rate hikes.
All right. Dr. Chua, thank you for teaching us a new word, okay?
Thank you.
Commit this to memory, promise you.
Thanks
for being with us. Johanna Chua, Citigroup Global Markets Asia.